This is the second session introducing us to the practice of self-soothing. In this one, I want us to remember or imagine going through a medical procedure or perhaps being at the dentist. And the dentist is a really good example. The experience at the dentist is pretty universal for all of us. No one really enjoys lying there with your mouth open, lying on your back prone, the dentist and the nurse looking at perhaps not the prettiest version of you. Your sins are on show because of the level of oral hygiene, whatever. It's a vulnerable position, and on top of that, there's always these very shocking, jarring physical experiences. Needles being put in your mouth, which is psychologically traumatizing. There's these scrapers, these jarring motions, and all of the activity that happens, especially if your mouth is numbed in some way. The sound somehow feels amplified in your experience. And once your nervous system becomes aroused, once the animal aspect of the psychology, in other words, the physiological part of our psychology, once that becomes aroused, it looks to the leader, you, someone, for rescue, respite, and something to manage or control the moment. And what we usually do is we walk in there and we set ourselves this kind of psychological waterline or barometer needle that goes, I'm going to hold it together up until this point. I'm anticipating a bit of surprise and shock and pain, but I'm kind of wincing as well. And when jarring things happen, when the needle pokes your gum a little bit, or when you see a bit of filling material flying out, or the drills jarring against your head, or the scrapers jarring against your teeth, you actually start wincing. And what happens in that wincing is your physiological system, the nervous system part of you, takes its cue from you and starts panicking, low-level panicking. And what that wince means is that I've set this limit, this level of how much I'm going to manage and how much I'm going to control. But the deal that I'm making with the world, with the universe in that moment, is that whatever comes next isn't going to exceed my safety level. And of course, as it gets near to this imaginary safety level that you've created, close to or near or over, because it's an arbitrary level, you wince and you send an alarm signal through your body to your nervous system that there's something to become afraid about. And your nervous system responds by heightening its sense of alarm. Now, understanding all of that can get us a part of the way there. But the second part is where the technology or the idea of self-soothing comes into it. So what we do instead is we imagine a practice where, as we're lying there in that procedure, or in the MRI machine, or in the dentist's chair, we imagine holding our favorite pet, or holding our child, or someone that we dearly love who is going through something slightly traumatic and slightly uncomfortable. Now, if you're an adult if you're a parent with a child, or if you've had the pleasure of having a close, beautiful relationship with one of your pets that you care for, the more, let's say there were fireworks outside that were scaring the dog, or the child was in the dentist chair getting afraid of the idea of a needle, or the idea of the drill, or the idea of pain, the more alarmed the dog became, the louder the fireworks were outside. You wouldn't set a limit as to how much control you would show beyond that point and no more. The louder the noise was, the more you would care for the animal. The more frightened the child was in the dentist chair, simply the more you would love them. The more frightened they were, the more scared they were, the more hurt they were, the more you would simply put your arms around them and say, "Don't worry, it's okay. It's going to be okay," so that they can take some comfort and reassurance from you. Now, there is a thing that we can do where we can talk to our inner child and our body without it sounding silly or awkward or self-conscious. We can just say in our minds, "Don't worry, it's okay, I've got you." And imagine putting your arms around a pet or a child and holding them in that procedure. And you are the adult in the room. And you are the one that is watching and enduring the experience calmly, because it's not happening to you. It's happening to your body, and your body needs all the support and love and understanding and reassurance that it can get. And you can actually practice self-soothing simply by controlling your breath, gently in and gently out, and just repeating to yourself quietly, to the child, personify the child, imagine your favorite pet, imagine your child sitting there, and simply go, it's okay. It's going to be okay. We've got this. This will pass. I'm right here, and I'm not going anywhere. And you simply repeat that, and you watch the nervous system immediately respond. And you also notice magically the wincing stops, because you are no longer frightened of what's coming next, because your job isn't to gauge how big or small the next event is going to be and whether it will undo you, or whether the rising storm of pain and panic is going to break the levee of your control. Your job is just to keep loving, to keep showing support, to keep holding space, to keep reassuring, and to keep connecting with your breath. Stay tuned for more direct guidances. And I hope this helps.